Good day and hello, besties. My name is Shelby Ashley, and welcome back to another episode recap of Big Brother 28. We just had episode 17. This was the week 5 HOH episode, and we had some record making, we had a lot of lying, we had a lot of shuffling of the deck going on. So please like this video and comment below as you watch, and also subscribe to the channel so you can see whenever I upload a new episode recap. But getting into this episode, we begin with all of the chaos from after the vote is unfolding. We had Haley's iconic shocked face that will go down in Big Brother history, and Kamu's trying to figure out who actually voted to evict Lyric. 5 people are saying that they voted to keep her between Kamu, Chuck, Dee, Angela, and Yash. They are all saying they voted to keep Lyric. Haley's pissed because someone's lying to her and someone flipped the vote on her. And Angela's saying that she lied about the vote because she double-crossed her alliance, and she's lying to Haley, and she thinks she's a surprisingly good liar. Probably won't say the same sentiment in about 48 hours after saying that, Angela. Next, we see Dee saying that keeping Lyric would have only helped Kamu, Chuck, and Haley. And we see clips from hours before the eviction. Pretty much the same stuff we saw in Big Brother Unlocked, which, by the way, sorry for not making a video on that because I just gotta say, I was really bored watching it, and then I just went to the bar after. So I figured all of this stuff would probably be in this episode anyway, and the only other thing we really learned on there was that Mallory was the power player time capsule. She won the time capsule, which we also learned in this episode. So I figured it wasn't too crazy to not make an episode on that BB Unlocked episode. Don't take a shot every time I say episode. But we are seeing clips from before the eviction where all the icons are kind of toying with the idea of keeping Drew and Melody safe because, like I was saying, Lyric would only be good for basically Kamu, Chuck, and Haley. Like, why are they doing that? And almost everybody wants Drew out, so why are they doing everybody's dirty work for them? Let's get Lyric out, who's not really good for any of their games. But they also don't tell the red corner that, and that's why the red corner got so blindsided. It's because they didn't know that was going to happen. But they say they're just going to lie about their votes whenever they're asked about it. Devins gets Barrett on board for it. You know, after they get Angela on board, they get Barrett on board, and then Barrett gets Mallory on board, and then Devins talks to Taylor and gets her on board, and she gets Lala on board. So they end up amassing all of these votes. And Dee says she's kind of got to do some damage control because they ended up getting more votes than she expected, but she is loving the chaos. And chaos indeed it is. Melody's feeling really good. She says that Haley is finally going to know what a hard week is, and she just can't wait to see how she crumbles when she's having a bad week. So, and funny for for Melody to mention this at the beginning of the episode, and then we get Haley's DR at the end of the episode to kind of sandwich all of that narrative together. They are doing Haley so dirty in these edits, by the way. It is... oof. It's rough, dude. Drew says that he's just chilling because he's been telling everybody this whole week that he's going to keep Melody no matter what. So he's just vibing, honestly. Haley is confronting Lala and Angela, and she says that Lala confirmed with her. Like, we see a clip of Lala asking her what the vote is, that it was Melody and not Lyric. And Lala is just playing so dumb, as pretty much everybody is. Like, Devins is even like, oh, I thought everyone was voting to evict Lyric, and Chuck, Dee, and Haley are all, Chuck, Angela, Dee, and Haley are all talking, and Chuck is so confused, and Dee and Angela just keep playing dumb. Everybody is just playing so stupid. Yash and Chuck talk. They're both telling each other, like, they think Kamu's moving a little weird, and they're a little sus of him, and thinking that he wasn't one of the votes to evict Lyric. But then we get a DR from Josh saying that, Kamu's moving a little weird, but he also doesn't trust Chuck, so, who's even telling the truth? Kamu is also over this alliance because they're not believing him, and he is wanting to really win this HOH. And basically, when it comes to the HOH competition, basically Haley, Chuck, and Kamu, well, Haley's not playing, but Chuck and Kamu cannot win. And Yash cannot win because they were just blindsided. That's basically like the house consensus of what's happening. In the HOH competition, we go to October 20th, 1967, and it's kind of at like a national park campgrounds, and we get like a Sasquatch sighting and all of that. I love that in this wall comp they did the like handholds and everything height adjusted, because they don't normally do it height adjusted. Everybody just picks where they want to go, and I always think that's pretty unfair when it comes to the wall comp. So the way that this wall comp was set up with holding those bars, they kind of had to be height adjusted. So I was a super big fan of that. We see Angela fall off first about 30 seconds in. Pretty classic. And then I thought it was funny because Devins was like explaining the rules of the HOH competition. And then Angela falls. And then we hear him say, well, anyways. And then continues to explain. I thought that was a fun little editing choice. We see a Sasquatch, and Melody said she was in Bigfoot Club in 4th grade, so it's crazy seeing Bigfoot here right now. So we just see everybody one by one drop in. We see Taylor drop. We see Yash opening his mouth wide, drinking water that's falling down on them. We see, all the icons fall, and then we see Mallory fall, Melody fall, and then Chuck and Yash both fall. So now we have 3 people left. We have Drew, Kamu, and Lala left. Now, to remind you, Kamu just got blindsided, so basically no one wants Kamu to win his HOH, and that's what made it very exciting, especially on the feeds. Even though I will say, I definitely fell asleep because they started that competition kind of late. I miss when they would just do it after the episode. That was always pretty ideal for me. Melody shouts out at Drew while he's up there. She says, "You look super cool." And he's like, "You promise?" Just some Drew-lity, Melodrew content that I live for. But his body is shaking. And then he drops. But he keeps his grip on the bar and just kind of hangs there for a while. But ultimately he falls. So now it's Kamu and Lala. And Kamu was just, again, Lala is holding on tight, and so is Kamu. Kamu's telling Lala, like, I can be here for a while. You're good, Lala. Trying to entice her to fall. Kamu says in the DR that he will go after Chuck, Haley, Angela, and Dee, because those were who just betrayed him. So Lala, they're all holding on to dear life. Lala actually starts crying. I think she's coming to terms with the fact that she is about to drop herself. But then out of nowhere, Kamu slips and falls. And then we get Lala being our next HOH. At 58 years old, she won the wall competition against one of the, an actually super athletic house. So it's a beyond impressive feat for sure. And literally everybody goes absolutely crazy for her. Absolutely crazy. But she won fair and square, and that's what I like the most. Taylor has this quiet scream in the DR that I thought was fun, and she says that she knows she has really good influence over Lala, so she's feeling really good about this HOH. She's playing for 2, and her other one just won HOH. So, but again, everybody's literally freaking out over Lala's win, and rightfully so. Haley's hoping that not putting Lala up last week is good for something at least. And Yash feels good with Lala, and so he can spend this week being in the right conversations and just building more relationships. On the opposite side of things, though, Barrett and Dee don't really know what Lala's going to do with his HOH, so they're a little worried, but not crazy. Then we see Mallory gets the BB time capsule, and as hard as she tried, she did end up getting a punishment. It was punishment number 5, and that was the Adam and Eve punishment, and she chooses Melody as her partner. And in this punishment, they have to wear these leaf bikinis for 48 hours and be tied together. Drew says it might be a punishment for her, but it's a gift for him. Lala, we get clips of Lala talking to Taylor, and Lala's saying she wants Devins out. Lala wants Devins out. She wants one of these icons gone. She doesn't trust Devins. all this stuff. But Taylor instead suggests Haley. Put Haley up there. Haley and Chuck, like all this stuff. Lala's thinking maybe Drew, Barrett, Kamu, because Kamu put her up and Drew and Barrett are pawns, but she would backdoor Haley. Yash and Kamu are talking about the vote, and they are talking about how suspicious they are of Chuck and how they don't trust him. And Taylor also joins this conversation, and then Kamu lets it be known that Chuck said that he would put Lala up if he won HOH. And Taylor takes that information and sends it right to Lala. Because Taylor's trying to look out for Kamu a little bit, because she kind of likes Kamu. And Kamu talks with Lala. He tells her, he's basically a free agent. He doesn't trust who he was working with, and he's pitching to her to not put him up. And he's telling her, like, if I'm on the block, I will go home. And Chuck said that he would put you up if he was HOH. So Lala's like, let's just put their asses up. So Lala ends up nominating Chuck, Haley, and Barrett for eviction. She says that Barrett needs to choose a side because there are no sides now, which I guess kind of contradicts herself, but whatever. And she needs to break the duo of Chuck and Haley up. Barrett kind of thanks Lala for putting him next to two big targets, and Chuck and Haley are a little blindsided by this. Haley says that she has idiot on her forehead again, and we end the episode with her saying she hasn't had one easy day in this house. Shut up, Haley. Ugh. So we will see on Wednesday's episode, that's the veto episode, all of the fallout from the nominations, maybe, some other crazy stuff that may have happened in the house, because you know how this cast loves to fill up a Wednesday episode with all of the craziness they love to do in the house. So if you don't want to hear about any of that at all, I'm going to go into some live feed spoilers, some light spoilers. So if you would rather just wait for the episode, thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Follow me on my socials. It's at Shelby Ashley, where the first E is a 3. And thank you so much for watching all the way through. And if you're still here, I've got some tea for you. So a lot has happened in the house. Right before the veto competition happened, earlier that morning, Angela admitted her vote to Haley. So Haley does know, everybody knows now that Angela was a vote to evict Lyric. And then somehow that has escalated, though, throughout the day to Angela going off on Haley and cussing her out so bad that she doesn't think it can be shown on TV, because she went FFFBBB. She was just talking mad smack shit to Haley. So we will see. That actually was not on the feeds. The escalated confrontation was not on the feeds. We didn't see the FFFBBB, but we did see some retellings of it. So I'm excited to see that. That is one thing I am so stoked to see on the show on Wednesday, because there's absolutely no way they're not showing that. There's no way. Again, like I said, one thing this house loves is filling up that 90-minute Wednesday episode. Then we get, so for the veto, Kamu and Dee were picked to play in the veto. And in the veto competition, it came down at the end to Barrett and Kamu has won HOH. Now, Kamu plans on keeping the noms the same. He's been playing very hard and has kind of completely turned himself around from being like the next target and from being blindsided to being pretty well insulated a bit in a way. Lala, Taylor, Yash, and Kamu have formed a 4-person alliance this week, and the wolf pack between Dee, Devins, Yash, and Kamu has gained some new life. So Kamu's really gaining some footing right now, which is kind of such a crazy 180 from how I expected this week to go for him. So that's really good on Kamu. I have to give him his flowers. There's a bit of a Taylor versus Dee brewing a bit. They're both kind of talking about each other, saying that they need to leave. I think the icons are very close to getting some heat put on them, because people are starting to talk about how they don't want all 3 of them in the jury. So that's just kind of something to look out for. And Yash and Taylor are even talking about going after them as soon as next week. And Dee has been talking about, you know, if Haley leaves, they need a new like public enemy in the house. So they're trying to figure out who that person could be. And it doesn't seem like it'd be Chuck, because everybody's saying that, like, you know, once Haley leaves, like, they could bring Chuck in and stuff. So since it seems like Kamu's not going to use this veto, I think that I would love to see, I know it's crazy, but I would love to see Haley win the blockbuster, and I would love to see Chuck leave the house this week, because Haley at least brings a little sass and a little drama, while Chuck, like, is just confused all the time. So I think that's what I would like to see happen this week. I don't want to see Barrett go, but Barrett's safe no matter what. I think he really is safe no matter what. So I would love to see. Yeah, I think that's what I want to. That sounds so naughty. I think that's what I want to happen, though. I think I'd love to see Haley win the blockbuster just for drama, and watch Chuck leave this week. That would be cool for me. But anyways, tell me what you would like to see this week. Who do you want to see go home this week? Tell me your predictions. And I will be back on Wednesday to tell you everything that happened on the I almost said HOH. I almost said nominations on the veto and the veto renom ceremony. So we're just gonna go ahead and end this video while we're slightly lagging behind. Later.